guy. We have,
I thought we were on C
We're not-
405.
I think we are. I think you put that down to like for us to refer back to for the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah.
So 405.
405 is our first one.
We're starting off at 201 and then we'll move down. You should be joining anytime.
Gage.
You just text me and said,
Good luck.
Can you guys hear my air conditioner on my end?
No, you sound great, Bob.
Yeah,
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
voice is running through good. Everything else is quiet.
All we can hear is the noisy man.
I was just gonna say the same thing.
But we mean that in a nice way, so.
Nice. How's the life of Mr. A?
Easy. Busy. Busy good. All right, I've got 4:30.
I got 429.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
got 429 too.
ahead of time. Look at your watch. Don't look at your watch.
He was 7 keys, you walk out here.
Don't need keys. The doors are all locked.
Well, I mean, it would really just be the elevator. I have a lot of emails to catch up. Oh,
No, where he is.
We've got. Okay, we'll call this meeting to order for the Charter Review Committee, 7/18/23, 4:30 at the town manager's office. Paul, Sandra,
Here?
Present.
Wally,
Here,
everybody's here. Higgins on Zoom,
Present Zoom.
engages
We'll be late.
late, and Louis is excused. Minutes for the 6/21/23.
I have a draft made. I just gotta get times once the YouTube's updated, so those should be out hopefully by Friday.
We'll just do it the next time.
That's fine.
So the next two items are both were tabled and for public input on the survey, so we'll hold those until we get the survey done.
I was hoping to get an update to see where it was, just to kind of get a broad idea of.
Know where they are, Peter, on that?
Although,
Just like how it stands, if there's been a lot of turnout or.
log in and see what it looks like.
Which list?
yeah, that wouldn't
Yeah,
hurt.
I think Louis was waiting.
There's two
I-
people in the waiting room. That might, I don't know exactly. Oh, it's Louis! We made it. Hey, guys.
Re-engage.
Gotcha. We're just waiting to see if the manager's got an update on the results of the survey or.
Yeah, because I know Louis was waiting for 2 weeks to give it at least that much.
Right.
Yeah, I just want an update to see if there's been a lot of turnout as of yet. I get leaving it for a little bit longer. I just want to know where we're at. Because if it turns out that there's quite a bit of response, then we know in the future that this will work out and we can do it a second time for the other topic we tabled.
So. It looks like 14 is the engagement number.
Only 14 people?
Says it has made one. Oh, that's a social media post. We go a little deeper.
Got scared there for a second. Like, dang. I did see it in the paper. It was in the front page of the
Yeah,
paper.
it was.
Yes,
yeah.
it was.
It's not. Maybe move on.
Okay. We'll move to the, continue the review, changes. Between C7, C19, C5. Powers and duties of the board, pertaining to preparation of the budget.
Found another feature. I hadn't been. So 65 responses. No, 195 total responses. 100 people who were on our contact list. 65 responses. So
Any indication of how the vote's going?
what was
Which is what I really wanted to know
Yeah.
for the whole, everything you said.
looks like 77.95% yes. 2.05% no. For the 1 year, 2 year, 3 year options, looks like 1 year is in the lead with 76. 3 years is second with 58, and 2 years is
Good. Well, we can talk about it further next week, but not bad turnout for
Yeah.
time that's now.
It's funny because I had mentioned to Sandra before anybody got here, we just sat down. And I've been thinking about this, and I think we're making a mistake putting things like this out to poll. I think that the reason that we're gathering together is so that we can talk about these things and reason them out. I said to her, I said, I'm perfectly willing to change my mind at any time. I have for an opinion. If somebody tells me something better, it's like, yes, I should have thought of that. I should be doing that. It's a popular thing, term limits. You know, if you say, should we have term limits? Yes or no? Yes, we should. But in reality, that's not how elected office works. I mean, we all know that, having been in it and seen it and whatnot. And people overstay. They do. They keep getting elected because people are generally happy. You know, back in the days when Millinocket was in the newspaper every week and it wasn't good. But I said, we're driving the clown car. And we don't have that. Now we have a reasonable group that actually hides when they don't get along that well. I mean, it's really, you guys do a good job. It's well done. But we should be reasoning these things out and saying them. And then if there's an upswell of people who say there should be term limits, or we should go to a selectman form of government or anything else, which I am not in favor of putting out to polls.
Yeah.
Then you act on those things. But I mean, it's a job. That's why we're here to talk about those things and to draw
Add on to
conclusions.
that. Is when
Wally,
Yeah,
Wally,
yeah,
I don't think that just because we have a poll that you have to change your thinking on how you'd vote. You know, I don't think it's there to direct us so
Yeah,
much on.
no, that's right. Yeah,
your
that's,
con-
and that's a good point too, Louis. It changes nothing for me. It's interesting. I mean, but
The
Yeah.
topics we discussed. but-
Yeah.
Because as a group, that our job, our task is to upgrade the charter to meet with today's times. Doesn't necessarily mean we have to agree to what a poll does.
well, some time ago, we had the discussion and I was see it, not see it, you know, I wasn't sure where I exactly came down, and then Sandra spoke and kinda, I agreed with all of it, and those were actually my thoughts. I thought, yeah, that is how I feel about it, you know?
Gage is waiting to re-enter. Me personally, I disagree. I think that these topics should be brought out to the public more often than not. We may not agree with everything the public has to say, because like you said, they don't see it firsthand. However, seeing this go out to the newspaper, being asked online, I've seen 2 Facebook posts and half a dozen people come up to me in person and say they're grateful that they're even being asked, because usually they're not. And a lot of that I do talk to, they bring up, I don't know if you guys have ever heard the ice cream flavor analogy, where it's people get their favorite flavor of ice cream because they see it there. They may notice the last name or the first name, or maybe the person in general and vote for them, but not know anything
Yeah.
about their political views.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is, I think part of that's the reason that, sparked this conversation for me personally is that singular topic of there have been people here that have been here forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
And it may not be the citizens realizing what their political viewpoints are, standpoints are, because
Yeah.
realistically, maybe 3 of them go to council meetings on a regular basis, but rather they realize their first name and their last name.
Yeah.
And they may see them in the paper once or 3 times in
I
their
think
term
that's
of tenure.
true.
So, and it brings more ideas to the table, I think, personally having a term limit. But that's my personal opinion on it. I don't know how others feel, but I agree that we should be sending these out to the public. I think we should take what they have to say. For the ones that come and join are obviously going to give their opinion, but when it comes to results, I think we should take it at a slow pace, like you said, because they don't know everything that's going on.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's right.
Well, the survey that's out there is still out there, so we're not gonna do anything about it tonight.
Yeah, no, that's
So,
right.
Let's.
That's right. It's all,
Thanks, Peter, for that information.
Yeah.
It is enlightening. And we'll move on from there. And when we get the final survey, then we can get that information and digest it. So we're going on to the C19, C405, powers and duties of the board.
So far, we've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 changes, one of them being a sentence change, the rest being grammatical order of Millinocket being added.
And what?
So changes made were in the first sentence, there were 2 changes from shall to will. Second sentence, public schools of the town of Millinocket. Further down, we added a sentence to say schools a draft budget will provide to the counselors and public prior to the school board budget workshop. The next sentence right after that, we put such budgets will be approved by the town and not shall be approved by the town. And then the last sentence we did, the town council will prescribe the time and place of presentation of the school budget. And there were 2 counselors that had proposed more changes to cover this meeting that they were going to recommend, and that's where we left off.
And the line, the biggest change in there is that line that says a draft budget
Correct.
will be provided to the counselors, the public, prior to the school board budget workshops. That's key.
Correct.
So that the public has a chance to look at it prior to the workshops. So that it gives them a chance to formulate their discussion.
I didn't write down who, I think Wally, you had something that you wanted to add or abduct or reduce. And I think Louis did too.
Yeah,
Write down who it was.
I don't have anything.
What was yours, Louis?
well, I was just reflecting upon the way the school handles their meetings where the public gets to speak at the beginning of the meeting and then their input is not allowed for the rest of the meeting. Which, you know, I'm not gonna change their process, but relative to budgets here, we should require them to provide us with a budget, with their draft budget before they begin their workshops.
Right.
That way we would have information to input at the beginning of the meeting if they're covering section A to B, you know, or whatever. And that, so I don't know exactly how you'd want to word that. That was one idea. The other idea was that we get caught off guard by them with this ESSER grant, some $3 million that they were expecting us to cash flow for them when they never informed us of the plan when they submitted the grant. That's blindsiding us, you know. I think maybe that should be addressed in some fashion. And maybe something about not having their workshop conflict with the timing of the council's workshops, so that, you know, councilors could go there and have input.
I feel like that one's a lot easier to add than the other two.
Yeah, the last one sounds like easy, but
A draft budget will be
I don't know.
provided
I
to
don't know what you.
councilors.
I don't know what you think about the other ones, but I think they have merit.
Well,
I agree they have merit.
and if you look at C 405 going through, you have A, B, C, and D. You could very easily add an E to that to explain those issues of, like you were talking about any grants and stuff coming through would have to be, that need to have the town managed, need to be presented to the town in a timely manner.
The manager and the treasurer
Yes,
will be informed prior to filing for a grant if it relies on town funds
All filing
Cash.
of grants.
for cash flow. You know what I mean?
Okay, all filing of grants.
requiring
Requiring town funding
town
or
funding or town managing of the funds.
Requiring funds for cash flow purposes, because you know they get reimbursed most of
Right.
the grants. So you know it's
will be
encumbering.
notified
Encumbering is
and
the word.
presented.
Encumbering is the word you want to use. Cash flow of the town.
Sorry,
Maybe.
I don't
Someone,
even know what happened.
someone from the town is ghosting you.
All filing of grants requiring cash.
Low encumbrance.
Cash flow. Income.
Encumbrance. Will notify the manager and treasurer prior to filing the grant.
Will require the notification.
Will require notification.
Will require
Of the
notification
manager and treasurer.
of the manager and town treasurer. Do we want to
Yeah.
include in there a presentation made to the council? If
No,
it's being-
No,
If it's
not
notified
really.
to the
No,
manager,
because
to then
the reason you don't want
notify-
to, have that is because it's the manager's responsibility to handle the budget and the finances. And if he thinks he can swing it, that's his decision, not ours.
Right, but I think what Matt was doing, Louis, was asking if the council needed to be informed as well. And that could be in the manager's report, so it's not something that has to be.
I'm just thinking like ESER 3, for example, we pass every single order for money that they need to have. So should the council be made aware of beforehand if it's gonna be millions of dollars?
Well, that's what I'm saying, though, is they notify the town manager, and the manager then,
You notify,
if it
okay.
gets to that, if it's that
That's
level,
right.
then notifies the council.
It's kind of
The
weird.
the manager would make the decision if he thinks the encumbrance would be too hard to manage, then he might come to the council.
Right.
I can't imagine not wanting to tell the council ahead of
That's,
time.
that's
in this
why I'm
case.
saying
Yeah.
something. Cause I
Uh,
would wanna know about it.
How,
Having-
how,
but
often-
it's-
how often do the manager and the superintendent meet? Pete, you guys get together on a regular basis? Occasionally, you and the superintendent? The,
We talk regularly, and we have. So superintendent, myself, the treasurer, and the administrator at school. Are quarterly, like scheduled meetings quarterly where we get together and discuss that. But we have pretty.
Thank God.
Jim is very good.
It took, I think the last time I was sitting there, we started that, I mean, it started the dialogue back up. And it has slowly when Superintendent Boynton was there. It was very hard to get.
I was gonna say, use your choice of words very
You
carefully.
had the pride to. And since then, it has gotten better.
it
No,
was that way.
last year
with
it
Sarah.
wasn't.
I was gonna
better.
say last year was a
Last
nightmare,
year it
but
was not better.
I suggest we move on. from that.
So having that other point, again, the charter change, that's added to the charter, now they have to follow that guideline.
Is there anything else we should put into that, or just that one sentence in each?
That's a talking point now, I think, from Louis' perspective. Is there anything more that you want added to that line, Louis?
Well, that section you mean?
Yeah,
Just the
well,
other two that,
just
somehow
E
we'll
for
put-
right now.
oh,
We added E. Is there anything else to E that you think we should be having there?
If it's relating to the budget, it should be an A with the other budget talks.
How about like
That's right,
previous
that's what I said.
notification?
Oh, wait a minute, do the school board
Yeah,
will
but
review the budget?
502 is the preparation and submission of budget.
So if we want something with submission of budget, it should be in that section.
Right.
So this is just
Oh, wait a
relating
minute.
to
Powers and duties of the board. Right,
in preparation of budget. So no, it should
Right.
fall into this.
So-
It's preparing it.
right. So under 502, the preparation of the budget. You have an A.
yeah, submission of budget, that could be where we request the draft copy.
Right.
Okay, so what do you want anything else added to E?
I do.
No,
We need to have, will require previous notification or previous timely notification of the manager and town treasurer. They've already told you about it and you don't like what it is. That they just did what you don't, this thing's gives them permission to do what you don't like. You want to be notified before you have to vote on it, so you can see it coming and
School,
So will require timely notification.
timely, yeah, previous timely or timely previously, or you know what I'm saying. You should be notified before it happens so that you have time to consider everything and set it up.
So all filing of grants requiring cash flow encumbrance will require previous notification to the manager and town treasurer.
I think.
yeah, that's fine.
now you can back up to
So no other changes to E. Okay, going back up. All right, section A, is there any other additions or reductions? All right, section B, amended 1/6/1984 by ordinance number 1-84. Was there a question about following up on amended ordinance, or did we figure that out last time? 'Cause that was part of the talk that we had last time, that went on for a minute about was amended ordinances.
Do we have a copy of that amended, or is this the actual amended ordinance? That's the question mark.
I thought you had asked last time for like the order itself.
Right,
I can't remember.
we need to get, all I'm saying is, if there was an amendment on this book, we should have seen the amendment, so we know exactly if this is the corrected version. Because if this book here was copied and it wasn't the corrected version, other than putting an amendment, by making that statement that says this was amended by order number 1840.
Can I ask a stupid question? So when this is all said and done, do the amended portions even need to be included where we've gone over this completely?
If the amendment is different than what's written right here, yes, the book needs to be updated. So then the amendment can then go away from that statement.
Okay, then I make a recommendation that once we're done going through everything, at the very end of this, before we submit it to the lawyers, we pull all of the amendments together at once and go over them in one meeting.
Right.
To confirm that.
That would be, yes. That way there, our ducks are all in a row.
I agree. Okay,
So that we are making sure that we have.
I feel pretty comfortable that when it's flagged as amended, that is the amendment they put in.
and those are
It would be good
easy
to be-
searches
It'd be good to
too.
be sure.
Yeah, I agree, and I think doing it at the very end will save us a ton of time.
Right, if the book wasn't updated, this book here wasn't updated with the amendment,
Yeah.
then
We can find it.
Because that's part of the problem. There could be 3 books sitting there all at different ages.
Right. So Wally gets his book and he gets the updates, he puts the updates in. I get the book and I don't put my updates in it. I turn that book back in and Sandra gets my book as the next person. She doesn't have a full book.
Yeah. She has the old.
Well, if these changes ever go to a vote by referendum, none of these amendment dates will mean anything because that's the clean copy that's been voted on and that's that.
That's what I was asking. So when this goes out to vote, if it's passed, do the titles saying amended on 1/6/1984 even need to be included?
Again,
After everything's done.
after everything's done, if we have verified that they are the correct amended version.
Then we can remove the title.
Correct.
Okay. All right, the school budget shall include an itemized statement of revenue from sources other than the municipal taxation, together with a statement of the amount of money to be raised by municipal taxation, together with comparative figures from current and next preceding school budget year. The school budget shall include the school committee's recommended appropriation for each of the following line item categories of proposed expenditures, the sum of which shall constitute the total proposed appropriations for school purposes, as well as year-to-date expenditures for the previous year and preceding 2 years. I got one more to fix.
See, there's 3 shells in there that need to be.
I already fixed them.
Yeah, you got those.
I'm doing the last one right now.
Okay.
And the budget we just went through, I don't believe had the preceding 2 years.
I don't think it did either. I think it was mentioned I think you're the one that actually mentioned that though. And we came to the conclusion that for their first one, doing it as pretty much an entirely new body was pretty good.
By the way, you've got will crossed out and shall put it in place.
Well, yeah, that's my bad.
Just the opposite of it.
Yep.
Nah,
Whoopsie daisy.
you didn't want us toes there, Wally.
One of us is awake, folks. One of us.
It's not me. Did I do that up top too or no? Apparently neither was I. So any other recommended changes to this? Or are we leaving as is, other than the
Other than those. The only other thing is the 1 through 10 is all wrong. If you look at the budget, the way they present their budget, those line items and the warrants, there's more than 10, and they're all different now than what that right there says. That's always been a question mark of mine, is how the heck can you got those 10 items there, 1 through 10, administration, instructional salaries, instructional material. Well, they take those and they put them all into like elementary education instruction, middle school instruction.
Every department has its own materials and its own.
Right, so
Well,
that needs to align with this.
Well, or this needs to align with that. Maybe
Correct.
maybe we should talk to the school
I have their
and
budget.
find out what they actually use, because it doesn't matter to me what these are. If they have some that they are using, and probably for good reason.
Right.
Then we should be altering this to suit the mechanism that they use.
So each one, because each one of these is a warrant on town that the
Yes,
council has
yeah.
to approve.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
more than 10.
Yeah.
Of those warrants.
So we should, I mean,
So.
this
we
we're
need-
talking about modernization basically of whatever their accounting practices are,
Right,
and our document should reflect what they're doing.
I
right.
agree with that.
You know, it might have been the intent of the original items here to make it so they could understand the cost of each of these categories. Not that they have to be passed by these, but that they need to be presented in its groupings so that you can say, oh, so much for administration, so much for salaries, you know, so much for materials. And if they wanted to cut one of these or whatever, they'd have to find what department they'd want to cut it out of, you know, or whoever wants to suggest that. But that, I think that was,
Or originally that was put in there so that the school was broken down, just as you said, Lloyd, like administration. You had the administration line.
Yeah.
And you approved the administration line. Then you approved the
Yeah.
instructional salary line. But now it's grouped in different ways for their budgeting process. So.
so
is-
according to this, they wouldn't have to have us approve each line, each department. All
Right.
we have to do is approve. If they would present it to be approved in these categories, we could approve those and get away with 10 instead of 30.
Right. Or however many there are.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, because there may be new, there
they
may be
kept
new
growing.
ones that aren't. Yeah, there may be new ones that are not here,
Right,
I
and
can't
that's
find it,
something. That's something that's the school administration.
or,
Should
or,
be.
I mean, if you just look at your warrants, I mean, when you approve the school budget, all of those articles that you approve,
I can look at 22. I have 22 same.
But are they- this is the first year I've looked at the school budget, and so this is a question because I don't know it. Under salaries, does it say Granite Street
This is
salaries,
this is
maintenance
22.
salaries, teachers' salaries, but then group them all together?
This is 22s, just so you're aware. It's almost the same. There's a little bit of difference, but the titles and everything are the same.
yeah, but that's the council.
Oh, yep. All right, let me go find it again. I just had it up.
You know, they may be breaking it down, but putting it all under the heading of instructional salary.
Each, right, but no, each line is broken down like for, like, elementary education.
Per department.
It covers,
Per department, yep.
right,
Like Louis said, it's for department, so she can break it down for their budget.
right.
All right.
But in that, like the elementary, you've got instruction, you've got maintenance, you've got building.
Mhm.
Okay,
Administration.
so they got, excuse it being sideways. These are the orders that they had.
Right.
So they got system administration. Okay, starts with system administration,
Right.
school administration, regular instruction, special ed, student and staff, other instructions, career and technical education, faculty maintenance, transportation and buses, debt services and other committees, and all other expenditures.
And so like I don't see attendance and health or vocational education.
Well,
You don't
yeah,
see that?
vocational education has changed to, you scroll down.
Yeah, that's its own order that we
Right,
passed.
vocational, but it was in that group, I think.
Oh, I thought you said down, I'm
No.
sorry. All other debt services and others, transportation, facility, career and technical education.
Right, that one there,
So that's vocational.
with what they call vocational. Now that-
Okay,
They changed it to career and technical education because it didn't sound like the dummy group.
So it is ordered that the regional vocational operations budget, as approved by the cooperative board, again, this was last year, be approved in the amount of $1.85 million. And our share is 28,802.
Right.
As of this year.
But all I'm saying is those there should align with this here.
Correct. So should we do it in this order? Or do you want to wait and ask what the school would prefer?
I think
I would say,
if there's so much controversy with the school department, that's a sign of respect to call them up and ask them what they think. In fact, if I were gonna make a recommendation, I would say a conversation between the manager and the superintendent to get that rolling, but to really stay with it and get it to us would be a good olive branch and effective way to get this information and recommend changing it to,
instead
what
of
fits.
they do what we want, we ask them what they.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree with that.
A motion, we table C405 section B until we have discussions with the school.
yeah. And
Okay.
seriously, that would be a good
Second.
manager to superintendent conversation. Good way to get that going. Manager.
Oh, we have a motion and a second on tabling
Oh,
this.
second.
Louis already said.
Oh,
Louis already
okay,
said, yeah.
okay.
Matthew motioned it.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wise on the
Aye.
die, so everything's all checked there.
There we go.
All right, moving on to section C. The town council, after reviewing the proposed budget, may change the proposed appropriations in any of the above line categories prior to approving the final budget. Approval of the school budget shall fix the appropriation for, I did that again, will fix the appropriation for each of the line items categorized as the school committee will not authorize the transfer of approved amounts from one line item category to another without prior approval of the town council. The expenditures included within each line item category will be consistent with the accounting and reporting requirements of the Maine State Department of Education and Cultural Services. The council may not by ordinance create additional line item categories for the school budget. All right, I got some stuff to fix here, so please bear with me. Any recommended change?
And that's those line items that we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, that's right. This whole thing covers all that, doesn't it?
Council can't add line item, the school could.
I don't see anything wrong with that section.
Yeah,
And therefore, that's why we're contacting the school to get those line items corrected,
Reconcile.
reconciled. Yes,
Fancy lingo. All right, did I miss anything?
corrected.
Shall will fix the appropriations in the school committee and other prior approval expenditures within each line item. Well, is this okay? So there was only two there, correct? I thought there was a third. Oh, there is. The school committee shall. I didn't bring my mouse today, and I'm shooting myself in the foot for it.
Just doesn't that get you that?
Don't like the pad, do you?
No, I don't. Section D, the school board, I did it again, will review the budget at least quarterly to compare year-to-date expenditures to those amounts as approved by the town council. Any documents prepared pursuant to this requirement will be immediately disseminated to the public and become part of the public record. I think that one's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is whether they do it or not, you know? That's, again, that's probably was one of the question marks, is that quarterly review. And we have they stopped giving a quarterly review.
Yeah.
Well, the
Kelly Lane
manager,
seems very, very willing though to do that.
Yeah.
In fact, she's coming before the council every quarter.
Yeah, and that's what we need, that's what the charter has always said.
Mhm.
I don't think that completely falls on on her shoulders
No.
either. I think it takes the school board to want to come and have meetings with us. You can't force someone to come and meet with us. There has to be a want. And I think part of being a public official is the want and need.
But that's what the charter is for,
Correct.
is to give you guidance on what you need to do.
I'm talking about being on the superintendent's shoulders, though. I think it's on the chairman of the school board shoulders.
Because it says the school board shall.
Not-
Only if they read the charter.
Yeah, well, that's the other side of it, Louis.
Okay, so no changes.
No, that's-
No,
So
fine.
we
Hey,
are
Mr.
officially, oop,
Mr. Angotti,
Yes,
is it okay if I step out, be excused? I'm out
Yeah.
on vacation. I gotta meet with my family.
have fun.
have fun.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we are officially into Article 5. Starting out at C501 fiscal year budget year. The fiscal year of the town government will begin the first day of July and will end on the 30th day of June each calendar year. Such fiscal year will constitute the budget and accounting year as used in this charter. Term budget year will mean the fiscal year for which any particular budget is adopted and which it is administered.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong. with that.
The color scheme.
Working on it.
Working on his pad.
You know what? Yes, I am. Any changes to C501? What does the 3 mean after year? I noticed that in the book as well. Does that reference?
Editors don't.
Oh, that would be why.
See also subsection 3-8.
Yeah.
Of
Chapter 3,
Chapter
Administration of
Administration
Government. C502, preparation and submission of budget. The town manager will not less than 60 days before the beginning of any budget year submit to the council a budget and an explanatory budget message. The budget authority of the council will be limited to the final determination of the total appropriation to be made to each of the several offices, departments, and agencies of the town, including the Department of Education. This budget will be compiled from detailed information furnished by the administrative officer and boards on blanks, forms of which will be designated by the manager and will contain, and we'll move on to that section after.
Boards on blanks.
Is the education budget year the same as ours?
Yes,
Supposed to be, isn't it?
yes, because it has to be approved by the council. And before, and so it doesn't start until, it actually doesn't, it's. Right, it ends up in June. And then, or is it August?
It's August, isn't it? Because
Start
don't
the
we have to
school year.
approve?
Right.
We have to approve for the overlap of the summer.
Right,
So they're starting August.
right,
Okay.
correct, Peter?
He went to going once, going twice.
I'm good.
All right,
Um,
subset,
On 502.
yes.
The only thing I was gonna ask is 60 days, I really think should be 90 days. Because it gives more time to review the budget.
I think 60 days is fine. If
Yeah,
it's
really.
been going.
Yeah. And that takes another 30 days away from the manager to compile everything.
We'd have to start early.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually you start
February.
start
It's
in
just
Yeah,
like-
I'm sure it's year round, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
in December, working your way into it.
Mr. Manager, just for clarification, when does the school fiscal year begin?
Things are-
It is the
It
same
is.
as ours.
Then they hold the prorating of the pay for the teachers goes until August. That's the only part of it that
Yeah, their
Yeah.
contracts.
right, their contract is from September to September.
That explains
Yeah.
much.
Sounds
Their pay where it's prorated has to go to that date.
It's just the contract start in August.
As far as the budget process.
Okay.
Dick, can I leave you a key?
Elevator,
Maybe
and
just-
I'll lock it, I'll leave the key right on.
Drop off.
Well, no, I can lock it and I'll leave.
Oh, and put it right in
I'll
here.
just leave it on the table before I close it.
Yep, that's perfect. That'll work great.
You got it.
And then,
You just wanna make me a host? I get where you're coming from, I do. I think 60 days has worked fine.
Well, and looking back at in the past, and where it got waited until that last minute. Sometimes it was pushed over, less than the 60 days.
Do you want me to shut your computer off? Or just leave it running?
just leave it on, that's fine.
Okay.
Have a good night, everyone.
See ya.
So,
I'll get this back. The other one's locked, but you can leave.
yeah, lock that back door there, and then all we gotta do is close the doors.
Good night, guys.
All right.
That's the only thing that I've seen in the past when I was on the council, that, I mean, it was pushed straight up to the last minute, so then you were rushed to go through it.
Yeah.
And if we're in the interest of the public, and the public's wants to be able to review the budget as well, having that 90 days gives you a little bit more time to do your budget workshops in a more comfortable setting for the public. That's all, I guess that's where I'm getting at. You aren't pushed to the last minute. Because if you're preparing your budget, you've got January, February, March, you should have that all ready to go. You got 3 months. So April, May, June, you've got 3 months to review it and have the public review it.
Thoughts?
Oslo,
Gage?
Gage,
I like the 60 days. I think it's, you know,
Yes.
with the holiday in December, and we started in February this year, and he did a wonderful job getting us there in time.
I agree.
So we have,
Okay, 60 days, okay. All right, subsection 1, exact statements of the financial conditions of the town of Millinocket needs to be added.
yeah,
Any other
That's another
changes?
thing.
Subsection 1.
have we had an annual report lately?
An annual report?
Yeah,
well, that, those are usually
And
done
then
in
you-
the fall.
annual report is put out to the public, which is easier to understand than the
Of the audit-
budgeting
audit
process.
report,
Yeah.
Or the audit report.
I
Yeah,
know Shelley's been doing monthly reports. I don't know about annual reports, though.
Well, the town always did an annual report, and the school report would have been in the town annual report.
Oh, okay.
I think it's in here somewhere.
All departments
It's in
of the
here.
school have to do an annual report, and that goes in the town's annual. report.
But does that affect subsection 1? I'm just making sure that there's no changes.
Exact statements of the financial condition of
I'm
the.
trying to find out where that annual report would be.
Okay, subsection 2, an itemized statement of appropriations recommended for current expenses and for permanent improvements with comparative statements and parallel columns of estimated expenditures for the current year and actual expenditures for the next 2 preceding fiscal years. An increase or decrease in any item will be indicated.
So. This is all pertaining to the town's budget,
Mhm.
Yeah. We had that.
and you do that anyways, already right now,
Correct.
so you're following the charter the way it is. You
Correct.
want-
Right.
it's to that you need. There isn't that
I think
then I
it-
say leave it.
I think ours works out great. I think the school, following obviously the policies that we follow at the council level, I think the school, if they followed it like they're supposed to, it would come out much better. But 90% of the problem, reverting back to the original statement, is the charter doesn't get read and they don't know that.
So this being updating the charter, making that correct, so that it is correct. Now maybe the
Hopefully they'll read it.
the members of the,
Maybe we should have a section that requires a school department to be versed on the charter.
Doesn't that come with the job?
Yeah,
I'm
it
sorry.
does.
Like,
no comment, Louis, I'm gonna
It
shut my mouth on that one, then. You go.
It,
That's a
it does
big
come
one
with a
there.
job. That's part of our oath, if you remember correctly.
I know.
Everybody, they all take the same oath too.
Oh, that's awful. An
Yeah,
itemized
I know.
statement of estimated revenue from all sources other than taxation and a statement of taxes required with comparative figures from current and next two preceding years.
We do that.
So no changes. Subsection 4, such other information as may be required by the town council.
And that's would be the council's privy to make an addition or change to that budget process.
So should we put examples in, like listed above in other sections, or should we just leave it?
I would leave it that way there. It's
Okay.
Yeah, it's better
it's
to have it
generic
wide
enough
open.
that you can, that, you know, passes the legal straight face test.
Any information you need to evaluate the budget.
Right.
Should be able to get.
All right. Any changes to the subsections? Going once, going twice? So the proposed budget, oh, section B, I'm sorry. The proposed budget preparation by the manager will be reviewed by the town council, which will approve the budget with or without amendments. The town council will give public notice as to the availability of the budget and the time and place of hearing. The council will then review and act on the budget. Do we have to?
It happens.
That's straightforward.
Good enough. C503, budget establishes appropriations. From the date of adoption of the budget, the several amounts stated therein as proposed appropriations will become appropriated to the several agencies and purposes therein named. Appropriated was spelled wrong. No, it wasn't. My computer's dumb.
And you changed the will to will.
I changed shall to will. Other than that, I don't have any recommended changes.
Not here.
Okay, C504, budget establishes tax levy certification of the town assessor. From the date of adoption of the budget, the amount stated therein as the amount to be raised by property tax will constitute a determination of the amount of the levy for the purposes of the town in the corresponding tax year. A copy of the budget as finally adopted will be certified by the manager and filed by him with the town assessor, whose duty it will be to levy such taxes for the corresponding tax year. I have a couple of shall wills to fix this.
Yeah.
And add town of Millinocket.
Instead of by him, by manager.
Oh,
By
for
the
Matt.
manager.
Certified by, is that further up?
By the manager.
Filed by,
Remember the
should
levy.
be, take the him out of there and make it.
A
Oh,
copy of
yeah.
the budget as finally adopted will be verified by the manager and filed by,
With
The
the town
manager.
assessor.
Right.
And filed with the town assessor. You can just leave
They
the,
take him right out.
yeah,
Yep.
The manager is that person.
so leave by him right
Right.
out.
Yes.
and I gotta add town of Millinocket.
And usually that is done prior to the budget being approved because they work with the assessor to find out what the assessor is doing. And as far as you're asking information from the assessor to get, when you start putting your budget together, you spend too much and all of a sudden the taxes have to go up, people start complaining.
You aren't gonna be town manager next time.
Probably not. No.
So, but that's the way, but that's why that communication between the assessor and the managers during the budgeting process is so important.
C505, budget summary. At the head of the budget, there will appear a summary of the budget, which need not be itemized further than by principal sources of anticipated revenue, stating separately the amount to be raised by the property tax, and will be itemized also by departments, including the school departments, and kinds of expenditures in such a manner as to present taxpayers a simple and clear summary of the detailed estimates of the budget.
I had a note there about, including the school department / programs.
That's on the
Like,
next one. Yeah.
It's on the next one or this one?
Oh, yeah.
Under 506 departmental expenditures and gross appropriations.
Oh, so that's the next one. Okay.
No,
Not quite there.
No, you had that on this too, Louis?
You had it
I had
on
it on
505 also?
yeah, I did.
Okay.
So wait, so including the school department and
Programs. You know, like, the school,
Well, and
Like the-
kinds of expenditures.
yeah,
It
That might be
basically
better.
says that.
I mean, I
Yeah.
get
School
why to add
department
it.
and kinds of expenditures.
I like programs being defined in there, because kind of expenditures can be a whole slew of things versus programs being defined could
But-
also be a whole
But
slew of things.
also, you've got to remember that those programs change.
Correct.
So the charter does not change unless you sit down and change it. So therefore, kinds of expenditures gives you that global meaning to include what they present to you.
Other thoughts?
well, I was thinking in terms of this international student, program they're running. All
Anybody
we
else?
got was,
But that's included in the school department's budget. Shows up in the school department's budget.
Yeah.
So it's already in the budget process.
well, there's also,
Excuse me, let me ask a follow-up question. Under kind of expenditures in the budget, if I'm not mistaken, the programs aren't listed per program. They're listed as programs and then an amount that's in that line. So if we put programs in there, would the programs have to be listed with each program and how much money is being expended to each program? Because that's how I read it, is that if that's in there, it's not just a line item anymore, it's you break it down by program.
So change the kinds to program. And program of expenditures. Programs of expenditures.
I'm fine with that. Louis?
yeah. I was just thinking about it.
Because then it defines, it says program, so any program that they have
You know, like-
going.
In the past was the big issue about the scholarship. Accounting and there was another one too.
Well,
forget what it
like the boosters.
Yeah,
Instead of programs of expenditures, it probably should say program expenditures. The S and the of should be clear.
So program.
Yeah,
expenditures,
program expenditures.
not programs.
And program expenditures, in
Yeah.
such a manner as to present to the taxpayers simple and clear summary. I think it reads better that way. Too.
Yeah, taking the off of it, so it's program expenditures. That really defines any program that they are doing over at the school.
Needs to be in the budget as a summary.
Right.
So XYZ is going to this program, XYZ is going to this program for a total amount of XYZ.
Correct.
Okay, then I'm fine with that, as long as it's laid out in future.
Right, and that's why I say you have to keep it generic enough. I'll use the example of the boosters. Music program goes down the tubes and the boosters organization goes away. You have that listed here. Now you're gonna change the charter again.
Okay.
You only have to change the charters a few times a week.
Hmm.
Unfortunately,
Instead of-
it's been overdue.
We're making good headway, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah,
Any other recommended changes for C506? I mean, I'm C505, my bad, jumping ahead.
You're pushing me now.
Well, that's one way to get it.
Yep.
All right, 506.
The budget of all departments, including the school department, will include all proposed expenditures, and the town council will make a gross appropriation for each department, including the school department, for the ensuing municipal year. The gross appropriation for each department will not be exceeded except by consent of the council and subject to the provisions of Article 9, but the school budget will be expended under the direction and control of the school board.
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward.
I think I got all the shall
It
words.
is. It's fine.
C507, reserved. Do we want to add a program section? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
And that's, but that's what that, leaving that in there gives you the ability to
Yeah.
add a.
The world changes.
that
There's
is
gonna be
right.
something in there that we are not expecting right now, and we're gonna need it.
Technology.
Yeah,
Could be a technology one associated with the
Yeah.
budget.
Maybe that's something we discuss in the future.
You're a techno geek.
I don't want to talk about it. C508, transfer of the unencumbered appropriations. The council may by resolution transfer any unencumbered appropriation balance or portion thereof between general classification of expenditures within an office.
This one here has, and school has always been, this basically says everything that is unexpended goes into the general fund. And the school has in the past has said, hey, wait a minute, was budgeted, that was our money, we didn't spend it all, it should go be maintained into our account.
I thought there was a state law that any money that was set for the school.
Right.
Had to stay in the school. That's why they have an unencumbered
And
balance.
that's why I'm saying that this statement here doesn't say that. This statement says that
Oh, I see what you're saying.
This statement-
Lack of saying.
yes, there's no statement in it that says that school budget will be kept independent of the town budget, as far as the appropriations balance.
The school unencumbered appropriations balance will remain. The school unencumbered appropriations shall remain in the school
As,
budget
as carryover amounts.
as
Right.
carryover amounts.
There you go, exactly.
Yeah, that famous little carryover misconception we had with them.
Exactly, and this here clarifies that
How
so
about-
that it's,
How about we say as audited carryover amounts?
I don't know if I want to get into the audits aspect of it, but
Well, it's all that would do is ensure that before they
Yeah.
say they can spend money, it's audited, that it's there.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
School unencumbered appropriations will remain in the school budget. Well, let me change that. Will remain in the school budget as carryover amounts. Which cannot
Which
be
are-
spent until audited.
yes.
There you go.
Cannot be spent until audited. I agree there, Matt.
Cannot be budgeted.
You don't want to put it in budget, but can't be spent until it's audited.
Yeah.
So that way there, we verify
Yeah.
that money actually did, because somebody didn't fictitiously throw in a number and say, oh, we didn't spend all this money. So
And
now we want it.
And now it's laid out in the charter. It has to remain in that budget and it has to be audited before it can be spent. And I
Yes.
think that would clear up 90% of the comments that we had last budget,
Yes,
which is why can't we spend money that's ours? That's not
exactly.
audited.
So by having this in that line, you take care of that issue.
I like it. I'm good with it.
Say because we don't know you got that money.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's been around a couple times, Louis.
Three
Oh, yeah.
times so far for me. One for every year.
Every year that I was on the council.
All right, C509, interim expenditures, public statements of over expenditures in the period Section A, in the period between the beginning of the fiscal year and the appropriations of funds, the council may authorize expenditures for current departmental expenses chargeable to the appropriations for the year, when made in amounts sufficient to cover the necessary expenses of the various departments. I don't like how that reads at all, but it's pretty straightforward.
It is.
Was that legal jargon? Is that what we called it last time?
Basically,
Any thoughts?
No,
All right, section B. If any act of the council will cause the annual town budget to be exceeded by any amount, this fact will be stated publicly in the report of the council as provided for in subsection C208 of this charter.
and this one here, this is where the school and the town can run at odds, because if they overspend, oh, we have to do it because of education. We don't, but it affects the town's budget because the town approved that total budget, including the school budget.
So should there be something in there
Well, that's
that
what,
if the school goes over on the budget, it comes out of their carryover first before it comes to the town's responsibility?
that's correct. Yeah, there you go.
yeah, but that would be a tough one if you stop to think that carryover sometimes applies to already committed activities in the same department beyond the budget year.
Yeah, we gotta be careful with that one, because of that right there is, if they, oh, we got this carryover money, we'll just spend it this year, because we gotta buy a new tractor. Or something like that.
Yeah.
So they're already planning that money, so this is not what that intent is. This-
But they shouldn't be doing that because of capital.
Right.
Fighting it,
But I'm saying, this intent of this statement is to prevent the council, the budget to be gone over what was budgeted. So,
But you're talking about this year's budget
Yeah.
and carryover. You've already said that they can't use the carryover money until it's gone through the audit. Well, the audit goes back 2 years.
Right.
So they wouldn't have carryover money available to them anyway.
they should. Yeah,
Keywords, they shouldn't.
they should.
That's what came
Only
up with.
only if the change passes.
Right.
Only what? I'm sorry, Louis, I didn't hear what you said.
Only if that change passes muster, Yeah, right now, I agree with you. If they plan carryover money from the current budget year, the very last one, last
Right.
year, which
Mhm.
they haven't had audited yet. And they don't know that that's where their budget is going to end up until they close the books.
Correct.
And so there should not be any of that money available to them anyway, then, for the current year that they've overspent.
Well, and that's why in the charter always said that would go back into the general fund of the town. But the state has said, no, that money belongs to the school department.
And that's fine for 2 years out.
Right.
But it's not gonna help them today.
So in this statement, I guess that's what we're, Any action council shall cause the annual town budget to be exceeded by any amount. The town budget includes the school budget.
But we didn't, well, I guess technically we approved the school
That's
budget.
what I'm saying. It's all built out of the same budget, but the school department in the charter has control of the budget for a school.
So if they
Approved by
overspend,
They're a department of the town.
but if they spend something that wasn't in their budget, like let's say they run dry and they approve an expenditure for $30,000 for a new vehicle, when they know they don't have any money, is that falling?
They have large expenditures are supposed to come back to the council. And that's what this is covering, that line, because that could push the town budget, what was approved, over.
So it would still fall on the council.
It still falls on the council.
So are we recommending a change or are we just gonna leave it as is?
Well, I'm not reading this as seeing. All it says is will report to the council. It doesn't say what's gonna happen after the report is made.
Well, it does in C 208. As provided in subsection C 28 of this charter.
Okay,
So let's go up and
Go
see
back
what
to
C
C 208.
Regular meetings, special meetings, and posting of council actions. The town
So-
council, first meeting.
Do
is-
we want to recommend that it says that it must report to the council?
Well, I think C 208 states that anyway. I mean, it has to come back to the council.
Right.
The town council will at its first meeting or soon thereafter is published, establish an ordinance or resolution at regular place and time for holding its regular meetings. I've missed a shot when we were up here. Meet regularly at least once a month. It will also provide a method for calling special meetings. All meetings of the town council will be open to the, so it would basically go to a special meeting.
I
of the
was
town
gonna
council.
say that basically doesn't tell you anything.
Well, the special meeting would be to determine how to move forward. That's stating.
Okay, okay.
Because there.
So it's not telling you a remedy or a punishment,
No.
or it's telling you,
The council
It's
will,
gonna go back
will
to the
meet and they'll determine what the punishment or.
Okay.
What the process is, right?
Yeah.
not the.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, there could be a punishment. I mean, there may be massive lashback and,
And
you
let's
know,
just say, that using the example that is a vehicle, $30,000 vehicle. They don't have the money in their budget to buy that vehicle, but they absolutely need it for a handicapped person. So they come back to the council. It's the council's duty then to find, they could take it out of the surplus, the general fund, that they had that surplus in to do that.
another great example is last year when the school budget didn't make it in time and we had to approve emergency warrants for the teachers to be paid.
Right, yes.
And can you at that time say, okay, we're providing you with the $30,000 now, but when you get your carryover money, we expect that 30,000 back?
Yes.
After it's on.
After it's
After it's on.
But you're absolutely right, Sam. But sometimes those things fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
More often than not.
More often than not. That we're so busy doing the next,
Piece of work that we forget about, the
Yeah,
original
that
thing we
one
talked
there.
about.
and let, the old saying, let sleeping dogs lie.
You mean they don't run to tell you?
Yeah.
So any changes to that section before we move on?
I think we'd be
Good.
Okay, then we are officially in Article 6. Z601, Divisions of Assessment, Town Assessor. There will be established a division of assessment, the head of which will be the town assessor. The assessor appointed as herein before provided will exercise the same powers and be subject to the same duties and liabilities as established by the laws of the state of Maine.
That is bulletproof.
I don't know, maybe we should do Massachusetts instead.
Oh.
All right,
Okay, will and will.
already got all those. So there's 3, correct?
Well, I saw 2, but, oh, nope, there's the third one right there.
And state of Maine is in there this time, so we're good. C602, Board of Assessment Review, compensation vacancies. There will be a Board of Assessment Review to consist of 3 members who will be appointed by the town council for a term of 3 years. Compensation, if any, to such members will be determined by the town council. Vacancies in the membership of such board will be filled by appointment by the council for any unexpired terms.
Straightforward.
do we have, do
It's
we
hard to-
have an assessment review
Yes, we
board
do.
now?
And they more so past few years because of the Brookfield assessment. That Brookfield will explain and come back, the assessment review has to review it.
They've recently sent a letter to Brookfield Power.
So it'll be coming again this year.
Well, I sent a letter
Yeah.
requesting a meeting between the public, the town council, and Brookfield Power, so hopefully we get to talk about this. Hopefully they respond. All right, C603, powers and duties of the Board of Assessment Review. The powers and duties of the Board of Assessment Review will be to A, review on complaints of property owners and revise, if necessary, improper assessments for the purpose of taxation of real and personal property within the town limits made by the town assessor. Should be town of
Town
Mount
of-
Aqua
yep.
limits. Green East okay. Any changes to subsection A?
Minister of Oaths,
Section B is administer of oath, subsection C is take testimony, section D is hold hearings, and E is adopt regulations regarding the procedures of assessment review.
they do all of those things based on this charter right now.
So we're good. No issues that you've noticed from the time that needs to be added.
New that needs to be added. Forward. Because when they it goes through that assessment review and they make a ruling, then the taxpayer in that situation has 90 days to appeal that ruling to the State Board of Assessment Review. So this is just the local process, and then this is right out of the main municipal.
So is there any section changes to C603, or are we also, other than the two that I made, the three that I made? All right, we're already on to Article 7. We're making great time. Municipal Development, Section C701. Planning Board. There will be a town planning board which will be appointed and have such powers and perform such duties as are provided by the laws of the state of Maine. See editor's note.
That's the
Planning.
statutes explain what a planning board's duties and responsibilities are. Under Maine state statutes, that's what that references.
I gotta
See-
say, I've been pretty impressed with our planning board over the years.
Well, Tony Floro.
Yep.
Tony Floro has read the laws, he's
Yep.
ticks right by them.
And I think with the group he has a mix of very knowledgeable people. So if there's something he doesn't know or
Yeah.
questions, it can either be answered by Tom
Right.
or, Mike or
They're,
somebody.
they're
that'll
a
do it.
competent group.
Yeah. I've been to 3 meetings and I'm getting ready to go for a personal one. And because me and my father are building a car wash in town and it's been nothing but straightforward. They come and get the property, they become knowledgeable before they even have the meeting. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy with how the planning board's done. Any changes to 701? 702, there will be zoning ordinances provided by state law. Oh. Ask a question. So when was the last ordinances for the town of Millinocket have been gone through, other than through the CEO? Because I feel like it's been a very long time, considering I've seen nursing reports from the 80s when the ordinance.
Yeah, it was put together in the 80s and hasn't been reviewed since.
Right.
So should there be a section added under Article 7 stating that there should be a zoning ordinance review board that goes through all the ordinances to determine what is no longer necessary, like we're doing here?
Right.
I think there should be a section that there should be a zoning ordinance board.
So under zoning ordinance, you put subsection A.
Well, no, it would have to be like C701, where it has planning board. There would have to be a new C7. How many are there? C704, because it would be the newest in line.
Yeah.
And then it would say zoning ordinance board, and then determine what the zoning ordinance board's responsibilities are.
How often would you,
Probably should be a committee because the board,
Committee, my bad. Well, planning board, we're the charter review committee, so yeah, I guess it would be a committee.
Planning board would be the one to review the zoning ordinances.
The planning board would?
Yes.
yeah,
Okay, so why hasn't it been?
It's something that if it's not in here, then I've got to go back and read the duties and responsibilities of the planning board under the state charter.
Can I find it online or?
Yeah, oh yeah, you can get it online.
What would I search? State of Maine,
State of Maine,
planning board,
statutes.
statutes on planning boards?
No, just state of Maine statutes, then from there.
Okay.
You look under.
I got text, title, and subsection.
Chapter 23 of the state statutes.
Chapter 23, sponsor captivity insurance, regulation research, main travelers, definitions, officials and their duties.
Officials and their duties.
Here's acceptance of, so the only thing with planning is transportation planning and acceptance of metropolitan planning funds. That's it.
So just go into the search bar and type in planning board.
I did, and that's what came up was transportation planning
And
and,
there's something that's a different place.
you mean back at the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Planning board responsibilities.
Creation and planning committee, administrative procedures and services, preparation, approval of renewal plans, planning and zoning and development. Everything's repealed.
Planning board responsibility.
Yeah, it's repealed.
So we need to look at what the new, if this, under these editors notes of 23, then we've got to look at what the state does. So can we table that one until the next meeting, and then we can I'll do a little bit of research and see if we can find out.
Yeah, I think that's
Just to add, I don't disagree with you, Matt. I think,
No, I agree.
I think we should, but if it's the responsibility of the planning board, because as a code officer, I started reviewing the zoning ordinances. And when I saw something that was misaligned, I said, okay, Mr. Planning Board, this zoning ordinance needs to be reviewed to correct it.
Yeah.
And we did. So we corrected that one. And then it was a labor of love. To put it plainly, because in the day-to-day, and I was only a part-time code officer of 2 days a week, I spent more time at home doing that, researching it, than I was.
okay. Then I motion we table all of Article 7 because it relates to all of it.
Okay.
Second that.
Further review of the state charter, state statutes.
Can you bring a copy of it?
Yes,
we
I
can-
will.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll when I find it, man, I'll print it out. I'll make a PDF and send it, email it around.
Because I've been in talks with the chairman about this, that the ordinance, because I'm rewriting the book.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've run into issues. Like, for example, the airport's not its own department, which was a recent change regarding, the manager and everything. But none of that's outlined in the ordinance book.
I found all my verted.
You did find them.
Yeah.
So it would be easy to go through.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Of the ordinances, yes.
That's fine. It's like 800 pages I don't have to
You have
do.
the PDF, Word version, as copied from the PDF, as translated.
Perfect. So I don't have to do
That
it.
way there's no edits to it. They're exactly what, other than taking out the hole punches.
Yeah,
Yep. No, that's exactly what. So I used Adobe Flash, and that's what I did. Is I translated everything over. I got rid of all the errors or like pencil marks that you made. All of that got erased on Adobe Flash. But it takes me like 5 minutes a page. So, and there's 742 pages.
Yeah.
And I was only like 200 deep. So.
I will,
But again, I think that if it is not in the planning board's jurisdiction, there has to be an addition that states that has gone just like this. There are too many redundant ordinances that
well, then it would have to go to the code officer to do. Because the code
I think the code,
enforcement officer enforces the ordinance.
he should be involved in the talks. I think part of his job duty is, if we make that role, that the code enforcement officer should be in talks with it, so he understands the changes that they're making.
Right.
So he should be a member on that board.
Well, he should be it's like the manager and the council, I mean, the code enforcement officer would report to the board with changes, and then the board meets to discuss in public session.
After it's been reviewed and updated, I would agree. So once they've gone through once like we are, and they've
Yeah.
made all the necessary changes, redacted anything that's old and unnecessary, then I would agree that their job duties would entail that when the code enforcement officer recommends a change, he reports to this board to recommend after it's been reviewed.
Yeah, so let me find the information on the planning board.
Okay,
And I'll get that, and I'll see how big those files are. I probably will just get you put it on pen drive. And get pen drive.
yeah, what I'll do is I'll take my document that I did with the charter and I'll just pull it into that and make one huge document of everything, like a book.
Yeah.
And then when we're done this, I will replace the entire charter portion with our changes once it's been approved and voted
Mine
on.
was all done by charter, filed by charter number.
Yep.
And then PDF was scanned, charter number, renamed the charter number, then translated into Word,
Perfect.
charter number.
Okay, so C703, I know we tabled it, just the only changes that I made were Will and Will.
Oh, we vote on that tabling. We didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry, no, didn't. So there was
Aye.
no
All in favor of
Yes.
tabling the,
Article 7.
I,
on Zoom, say aye, please. Louis said aye. Gage,
He's muted.
you're muted, Gage.
Aye.
Thank you.
Takes a minute.
Okay, all in favor.
Okay. Article 8, nominations and elections. C801, municipal elections amended on 1/46/1984 by ordinance number 284. Effective January 1st, 1985, the regular elections for choice members of the town council and the school board will be held on first Tuesday after their first Monday in November. The council may by resolution order a special election at any time to fill vacancies in the council. Which further up, just for clarification, it does talk about it being so many months or less. It's required. So it would be redundant to include it twice. All right, C802, qualification for nomination. Any qualified elector of the town may be nominated for the council or school board in accordance with laws of the state of Maine. Change town to town of Millinocket.
Qualified elector, pretty much, no, it's already been identified as what a qualified elector is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the state of Maine defines it.
A resident of the town.
That's really, that's like it,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Talk about minimum spec.
Hey, you gotta start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
C803, conduct and management of elections. Provisions, laws of the state of Maine relating to the qualifications of electors, registration, the manner of voting, the duties of the election officers, and all other particulars respective to preparation for conducting and management of elections so far as they may be applicable, will govern all municipal elections except as otherwise provided in this chapter, which it doesn't really talk about. All right, C804.
Yeah, no, that's
Yes, that's all basic.
nothing to change. Yeah, pretty boilerplate.
C804, voting place established for state elections will be established for municipal elections.
that's a hard one.
Yes.
Will
Have them
be,
in the same spot.
you know,
What was that?
the voting places established for state elections shall be established for municipal elections. Why do we need to change that one? Well,
To continue with consistency, we're changing all the shalls to will. I think it's, we did this before. Shall and will mean basically the same thing, except will has more of a demand to it. 805, election officials. The town council will at least 10 days before any election appoint a warden who will exercise all the duties as prescribed by state law, and a clerk in addition to the regular ballot clerks for each voting place. Do we want to change state law to state of Maine law? like they've done in previous sections.
Yeah, you could.
If we've done that before, then yes.
It was actually like previous edits of charter reviews. They had state of Maine law or laws of the state of Maine.
By Maine state law,
So you wanted to say Maine state law instead?
doesn't matter. No, that's good, state of Maine.
State of
that's
Maine
good.
law.
C806, activity restricted at voting places. No unofficial activities, including but not limited to the selling of any baked goods, crafts, or raffle chances. The collection of petition signatures for any cause or polling or picketing will be allowed within 200 feet of voting places. The warden will be empowered to enforce this section.
That just says, you know, you can't. I'm running for office. I can't stand at the door of the school.
And I can't give cookies while I do it?
You can't,
Damn!
you can't hand out $100 bills and say, vote for me.
Yeah.
But it says no baked goods. That's
Within
the
200 feet. I can go across the bridge and I can do it.
201 feet and I can sell the cookies. Any changes? Okay, then we're done that one. Article 9. Initiative and referendum. C901. Petition for overrule of council action. All ordinances, orders, or resolves, except those making appointments or removals or regulating exclusively the internal procedure of the council, will be subject to overrule by a referendum as follows. Any section or any changes to the header?
No.
Any five registered voters may begin referendum proceedings by request and written to the town clerk for the appropriated petition blanks. All papers of the petition will be uniform in size and style and will be assembled as one instrument for filing. They will contain or have attached thereto throughout their circulation the full text of the ordinance, order, or result sought to be reconsidered. The petition will be signed only by registered voters of the town of Millinocket, and each voter's signature will be followed by his address. There's a lot of changes that are going to
Do
make.
we also have to print? Do we have to print our name?
We talked about doing that further up. This is a different section regarding a different procedure. So if you want it to be the same, I can go find it.
So in the last, followed by, says this address would be their address.
And there's a lot of changes. Bear with me.
Yeah.
I had a note here from our last discussion of this. We were talking about raising 5 to 10.
Then that got turned down
It did, okay.
Yep,
because we felt that it has never succeeded in the past. It's
Yeah.
already difficult as it is.
So there's no sense in adding more to it.
Okay.
They're really-
The voters of the town and will be followed by their address because women can vote now.
Cause that's just to begin the referendum.
Each
That's
voter
That's
signature,
just to begin the referendum.
Yes, yeah,
Process.
yeah.
And then once you get out, if you've got your signatures, you come back, and then those all have to be checked.
Yeah.
And if I scribble my name, you can't read it.
and that's why I said, I thought you have to
Print.
sign and print and give your address.
But
You
that's,
don't.
that's for running for office.
that's what we changed up top to read that way. As it stands right now, you don't. But once the changes go in, the one for, if you're gonna try to come after me for being a counselor, then you would have to do that.
Right.
Or if you're running for council. But as it stands right now, this is referring to just ordinances. If we wanted it to read the same, I'd have to go find it. Which I can if you want. It doesn't bother me if you guys want to do
And
that.
I don't think, for an ordinance, I want people to, do you find an ordinance that is wrong? Then bring it up and, if the council says, hey, you're all wet behind the ears, get the hell out of here, then
Here's a thought, just a thought. If we do make a board to go over ordinances, I mean, it wouldn't help the resolutions or anything. But then they could bring the complaints to this board. And then the board would recommend the change to the council. Again, it's not gonna help with resolutions or anything, but it would help with ordinances, which is 90% of the complaints.
zoning review board.
Correct. So, that would be unnecessary. Again, it wouldn't help resolutions or anything, but for ordinances and such, it would fix that. Yep.
That would be the council's responsibility to create a zoning review meeting.
Not unless we put it in the charter like I recommended.
Right. As a charter, you know,
Even if it doesn't get put in the charter, I plan on asking the chairman.
it's no different than the charter review committee.
Isn't that in the charter?
No, your charter, the council wanted to review the charter.
I thought there was a section that said that this had to be done by a committee every so often. Oh, I guess I'm mistaken.
It's the council's responsibility to appoint a committee. Council has that authority. So the council could say, I would like to make a zoning review committee, to review our zoning ordinances. And that could be done without any changes to this.
Okay, I still think it should be in the charter, but I'm gonna look further into it.
And that's, yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's why we're here.
Right. Because if it does fall into the planning board, then this whole conversation will, but.
I will find that.
All right, section B, each paper of the petition, oh wait, I'm sorry. Did we want to put in there that they have to, print their name? Or did we want to leave it as just a signature?
I think printing is also important, and I
Yeah.
understand it, because you can sign it like a doctor, and I can't tell you who the heck that person is.
My husband cannot read my writing.
Yeah, and, yeah, and that's right.
So
Right.
by printing your name, you're saying that this is my legal signature.
Yeah.
And this is the address I live.
Yes. So that it can be given a good inspection.
To that point, Wally, is I signed Matthew's nomination papers. All they've got to do is go back, they question that signature. Look at somebody another time that I've signed something. There it is. Yeah, that's him.
Or even contact you. If
Yeah.
they can read your printed name, they can call
They
you
can
and
call
ask
you and
you
say-
for confirmation. Yeah,
We question the signature.
Yeah.
Did you sign this document?
yes.
So, yeah, I think those should be.
And there's no hardship to it either. It's just a
It's just
sensible
one
thing
more-
to do.
Yeah, and in that form, it's just one more block. to
Yeah.
Fill in. If you're really passionate about that topic, then you're gonna sign it, and you're gonna print your name.
Oh, I made a boo-boo.
You?
Thanks.
I'm glad you're sitting over next. That's all.
I said that because he didn't acknowledge the fact that I fixed my computer. this
I actually
week.
said to my wife, I was like, she did it, she fixed it.
I am so computer illiterate, and B-Line came over and they had to put in a new modem. The new modems have an internal router. And
Nice.
everything except my printer.
Oh my god, I really messed this up.
And I couldn't figure out how to get the printer hooked back to the computer. So I deleted it and put it back in. And it worked.
It worked.
Okay, I made some big boo-boos, so please bear with me.
Bigger than an undo can take care of.
Apparently, I tried clicking undo and it made it worse.
Good job, Lou. We can't pick on Matthew because he's doing such a good job at it that we don't want to take over the responsibility.
No.
Say who's next? This is gonna be next
Yeah,
time.
we don't want him handing that off, that's for sure.
No.
Man, I'm feeling awfully sick the next.
I want
3
to
meetings.
be nice to him, I'm saying. Yeah.
I'll bring the mouse next time, right?
Oh my word. I will not forget it again, that's for sure. All right, registered voters of the town of Millinocket.
And each voter's signature along with
Each
their
voter's
printer's
signature,
name.
printer's name,
Okay,
And
Followed by-
address.
followed by their address.
Yes.
And the word,
Oh,
shall be followed by their, take his out there.
I didn't see. And followed by their address.
No, that's not good. Auto signature, printed name shall be and followed by his. By their,
So registered voters of the town of Millinocket and each voter's, oh, there's too many ands, that's what it's wrong.
Yeah. There.
So only registered voters of the town of Millinocket, each voter's signature is printed name and followed by their address.
Sounds good.
you,
So you gotta remember, this
Voters.
falls over on a page, so it's the
Yeah.
petition will be signed only by the registered voters of the town of Millinocket. Each voter's signature, printed name, and followed by their address.
do you need that and?
You need.
The and has to be in the last
You need
sentence.
it followed by, it's just, you're asking. for the name.
You don't have to, we had it further up the same way, I just copied and pasted it.
Oh, okay.
That's fine.
It is redundant, it's
Yeah.
not necessary.
We'll give the lawyer something to look at.
That sounds great, I'm in favor of that, let's do that.
I think I can get paid. Do something.
I swear to God, if he tells me I need to move all the shells, or the wills back to shells, I'm gonna be pissed.
No, you say you do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, how about you do it?
We'll pay you for it.
Each paper of the petition will have attached to it, when filed, an affidavit executed by the circulator thereof stating that he personally circulated the paper, the number of signatures thereon, that all signatures were affixed in his presence, that he believed them to be the genuine signatures of the persons whose names they purport to be. Is it purport or supposed to be report to be?
No, report.
That each signer had an opportunity before signing to read the full text of the ordinance order to resolve sought to be reconsidered. There's a lot of changes here.
That's all. Legal jargon.
Well, I'm talking about the he's
Oh, yeah.
and the shalls and the wills
Yeah.
and the who's and the whys.
If the lawyer's gonna change any, that's what I'm gonna get you.
This one? Okay, so have attached when filed an affidavit executed by the circulator thereof stating that they personally circulated the paper.
Which is the same,
They personally circulated the paper, the number of signatures thereon, that all signatures were affixed in their presence.
Can't go take it and give it to Joe Schmo to go get your signatures for you.
Damn.
But you have 5 members in there, so there's 5 people that each have a paper that they take out and take their signatures on.
Their presence that
They believe,
I'm working on it.
no, that was a question. That wasn't,
That they believe
them to be the genuine signatures.
of the persons whose names they purport to be, and that each signer had an opportunity before signing to read the full text of the ordinance order results to be reconsidered.
It was he believes. It should be they believe. That
Mhm.
should be off that.
The SO. Okay. Sound good?
Yeah.
Section C, if within 10 days, after the enactment of any such ordinance, order or resolve, or the next business day, should the 10th day fall on a non-business day, The appropriate petition signed by registered voters of the town numbering at least 20% of the number of voters cast in the town at the last gubernatorial election. See, this is weird. We were talking about that earlier. This is the
Gubernatorial
only,
election.
Gubernatorial, yeah.
this is the only section that's added that way. I just want to point that out. We had to change that up top.
Right, we changed it before because that reason right there.
Sorry.
That's a state, that's a state change as well, Matt.
I'm just finding it weird that they didn't do it consistently throughout the charter that they didn't do that for
Right.
every section. The town council will
They
call
didn't
it.
have the tools we have today.
What was that?
They didn't have the tools we have today.
There you go, Lou.
Yeah,
You know,
I think that, yeah, that's a good
third-
point, too.
Is filed with the town clerk requesting reference to the referendum. The town council will call a public hearing to be held within 14 days from the date of the filing of such petition with the town clerk, and will within 14 days after said public hearing call a special municipal election for the purpose of submitting to a referendum. Vote the question of adoption, such ordinance, order or resolve pending actions by the voters of the town, then referred ordinance, order or resolve will be suspended from going into operation until it has received a vote of the majority of the voters voting on said question. That was amended on 11/3/92. So I need to make some changes.
Yep.
At the enactment of any such ordinance, order, or resolve on the next business day, 10th day, May. Business day. The appropriation petition signed by registered voters of the town of Milwaukee.
Mhm.
Numbering at least 20% of the number of voters cast in the town of Milwaukee. At the last gubernatorial election, is filed with the town clerk requesting its reference to referendum. The town council will call a public hearing to be held within 14 days from the date of filing such petition with the town clerk. Will, within 14 days of public hearing, call a special municipal election for the purpose of submitting to referendum vote the question of adopting such ordinance, order, resolve pending actions by the voters of the town of Milwaukee.
I'm gonna request to step out. I'm gonna finish up at work and then make my way home.
We're almost done
Okay,
here.
Have a good evening.
Bye. Use up.
Right,
The referred ordinance, order, or resolve. Will be suspended from ongoing operations until it's received a voter. Okay, I think I got them all.
Mhm.
Except there's no period after the end. Okay,
So, we want to take this as a stopping point or?
I think we have time for C902. Pretty small. C902, submission of by council of proposed proposition to popular vote. The town council may submit on its own initiative a proposition for an enactment, repeal, or amendment of any ordinance, order, or resolve, except as herein authorized, otherwise provided to be voted upon at municipal election, and should such proposition review a majority of the votes cast thereon at such election, such ordinance, order, or resolve will be enacted, repealed, or amended accordingly.
Sure.
One will,
One bill.
one will.
And then the next one is pretty friggin' lengthy. Actually, we've already
It's been
started.
gone- It's been gone over.
Part of it has, yeah.
Right.
We didn't do tons of changes.
We
Like,
changed
we'll have to go
5
down
and 10.
through it again, but
Right, we changed 5 to 10.
Oh, yeah, we only got 4 or 5 pages left.
yeah, there's not many. We actually started, when we first
Right.
began. But since then, we made changes like shall and will, town of Millinocket, state of Maine. So we'll have to go all the way down through.
We will,
one
but
more
it's-
time.
We've done more pages today than probably what's left, so.
That we have. We'll have it done next time.
So
Good,
the next meeting will be Wednesday, 8/2. Is that okay with everybody?
8-2,
8/2, August 2nd.
What's that?
August 2nd,
What's the next meeting?
yeah. 8/2/23, 4:30 to 6:30.
Is that Wednesday?
But we just said Wednesday.
Good question. 8/2 is a Wednesday, yes, correct. It's the first Wednesday of August,
And that's what it is, yeah.
okay. Is that
Let me go get ready to end the
Motion.
stream.
motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion seconded, all in favor?
Me,
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thanks, Lou. Have a good
Yo,
evening.
thank you.
Catch you later.
Yep.